So get yourself a piece of scrap paper. I don't have a template for this one just because everybody's head is a different size and you really want it to fit your head. So take a piece of scrap paper and you're just going to draw out the pattern on that will fit your own head. So I started by drawing an oval that I knew would be bigger than my head. If your hat's just going to be a circle, you can just trace a plate and then just cut the shape out of the paper. And then you just want to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. And then cut along the edges so that all the edges end up nice and even. So when you unfold it, all the edges are nice and even. And then fold it back up again. And you just want to draw a little line a few inches from the edge and cut down that so that when you unfold it, you have a hole in the center. And so once you've got that cut, you just want to put it on your head, measure it out, and make sure that it fits. You want to make sure that it's actually a little bit bigger than you want it to be with the head opening, because once you start putting the cardboard on, it's going to get smaller, and so you want to make sure that this part is a little bit too big so that when you actually get the cardboard on, it'll fit your head nicely without squishing it. If it's not the right size, you can just fold it back up and trim some more out of the interior there. And you can also cut it when it's unfolded. You can unfold it and cut the inside edge there until it's the perfect size. Very fashionable. So once you've got your template, you just want to cut some cardboard. I'm using a cereal box because it's thin and flexible. Put some tape on your paper template and stick that to your cardboard. And then you just want to cut out around that paper template. And then you can either use scissors, or I found it was easier to use an X-Acto knife to cut out the center. Peel the paper template off, remove any excess tape, and you've got the brim of your hat. So then take a long strip of cardboard, mark off how high you want your hat to be, then just take a ruler to make that line smooth all the way down, and then just cut down that line so that your piece is even all the way down. If it's not long enough, you can just cut two pieces the same size, lay them next to each other, run a little bit of hot glue down one, and stick them together at the edges. The fabric will cover where the seam in the cardboard is. So put that in the center hole of the hat, and then just put a little bit of glue where the edges overlap. Stick that back in the hat. You want it to poke through a little bit beyond the brim there, and then just run a line of hot glue all the way around to hold that in place on the upside down hat. And take another piece of cardboard, lay the hat on that, and trace the inside circle. Cut that out. And then just run a line of hot glue around the top edge of the hat. And stick that piece of cardboard right on the top there. So then take a pair of scissors and cut off any excess that's hanging off the top edge of the hat. And so here it is once I've got all the cardboard on, starting to look like a hat, but of course we have to cover it because you don't want it to be cardboard colored. So I just took some black flannel that I had left from another costume, and I laid the template on top of that and cut out around that, leaving just a little bit of a line of the fabric around the edge of the template. And then I did the same thing on the inside, leaving about a half an inch around the edge of the template on the inside as well. And then I just cut on the inside little slits in there about every half inch or so, make them all the way around, little flaps. So I cut two pieces just like that. One of them I slipped over the top side of the hat so the little fringes were facing upward. I glued that on all the way around the base of the hat, and then one by one you want to glue on those little flaps so that they're facing upward. Flip the hat over and cut off any excess black fabric that's hanging over the edge. And so then with the hat upside down, stick another piece, the second piece on there, and glue that on. And then the little flaps you'll just glue right onto the inside, folding them all down all the way around. And once again, cut off any excess that's hanging off the edge. The cardboard will be covered later. So on the top, you want to glue just a piece of black fabric on the top. You want it to be bigger than the top so that you can cut it off, leaving about a half inch all the way around. And then cut slits in that just like you did with the interior of the other pieces. And those slits you're just going to glue downward onto the hat. And because the hat is round, you may have to cut the corners off of some of those little flaps in order to make them fit because you want a nice smooth edge there. You don't want a lot of bumps where they're overlapping, so any place they're overlapping, just cut off the corners. And so then in the center, you want to run a piece around there. It doesn't have to entirely fill it, you just want it to be there so there won't be a dip when you take the final black piece of fabric and actually glue that all the way around. That way you won't see the edges. So cut off the excess off the top, and then you have a nice smooth top of the hat, and mine has lots of cat fur because I have lots of cats. So then take a piece of black ribbon, or I'm using black, but you can really use any color, put some fabric glue on it, and wind that around the bottom of, or the base of the hat. You can't use the ribbon around the edge because it wrinkles, so you want to use bias tape, and you just want to, when you wind that around, it doesn't wrinkle, so you want to glue that so it's centered on the hat so that you're folding it around the top and bottom half, and that covers up the cardboard on the edge of the hat there. And I used red just to give my hat a little more panache. And so there we go, the fully finished hat, and no one will know that it started its life as a humble little cereal box. If you saw my post yesterday, then you know that I have been writing my first ever cosplay book behind the scenes. This clip is just me being funny because it took me so long to complete, but it's actually been a labor of love. So stay tuned, because over the next several weeks I'll be giving some behind the scenes previews at the end of each of my tutorials as I complete the final touches on my book to get it ready for release.